Welcome to my live stream. This is one of 4 live streams I'll be doing this month as part of my shareholder challenge. And today I'm going to be reviewing 2021, which is quite a year. We have 4 viewers now. That's exciting. All right, let's go ahead and share that back. Make it larger. Whoops, that's not right. There we go. All right. And first slide. 2021 year in review. The big things, my TED Talk, shareholder roadshow, and so much more. We're going to go through the year month by month, and there's some stats that I threw in at the end, kind of talk through highlights, lowlights, and insights. And then we'll do a Q&A at the end if anyone has any questions. So we've already seen this slide. Maybe I went backwards instead of forward. January 2021, 1 year ago, Catherine and I were in Canada for the holiday. Catherine and I were in Canada for the holidays and decided to stay there because the corona numbers were spiking in Los Angeles. Then it was kind of nice to be there during the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. It felt sort of safe to be in a different country at the time. And I was doing this freelance gig, writing these scenarios for an ad agency that was doing a VR, teaching Russian minors soft skills through VR. So I was coming up with scenarios for that, which was both the most fun and dystopian thing that I could possibly think of. It was pretty great. We left. Why does it keep doing that? That's really annoying. Maybe I could just use the arrow buttons. All right. February, we left Canada. The idea was we were going to drive south as far as we could because Catherine had to work during the week. So I'd mapped out how long it would take to get to a place that I thought we'd be able to go on bike rides. I was like, oh, let's go to Austin, Texas. I have some friends there. It'll be nice. And it was not nice. We almost died. We drove right into one of the worst snowstorms I've ever been in, which includes growing up in Alaska. No one knew how to drive. It was super scary. We spent a week in this hotel in Austin, just basically eating tacos from the restaurant. We learned to order our entire meal for the day because they would run out of food every day. The entire city was shut down. It was insane. It was a crazy week. Drove back to Los Angeles and also had that Nas Daily video shoot, which was really fun. Brought K5m to a whole bunch of new people. March, finally back home. There's supposed to be a picture there, I promise. I'm not really impressed with Canva, I'm going to be honest. Hold on, I'm going to remove this. And I did make a backup PDF because I sort of suspected that Canva was going to be garbage. And I was right. Let's see. Pardon me one moment. Oh man, this Canva sucks, you guys. I don't know if anyone's ever used this before. It's very, very slow, and there's pop-ups everywhere. All right, garbage. All right, we are going to quit that, and I'm going to launch a PDF. And we won't have pretty transitions, and I think that's okay. All right, Let's see if we can do this a little faster. That's wrong. Yeah. Here we go. PDF land. Good old trusty PDFs. Where were we? Didn't export the emojis. Man. All right. Well, so much for that. March. Got back to LA. Still sporting my very wild hair and beard. Finished the book club and tried to start the second one and realized I'm not going to have a book club. I would love if a shareholder ran a book club, but it's not going to be me. Got into NBA Top Shot thanks to shareholder Drew, who was really yelling at everyone pretty early about that. It was pretty fun. Invested in Gumroad, and Marcus and I started trying to figure out how we would do a podcast. We even recorded some practice episodes. April, I got vaccinated. Briefly in that period between my first vaccine and second, I had a mustache for a while, which is pretty amazing looking, although Catherine didn't love it. Marketplace interview, that was fun. And you might remember I attempted to live in a 6-day week, which worked out okay in the beginning, and as time went on, sort of fell apart. May, shareholder conference, got a new iPhone. The charity poker game was really my focus, and the shareholder conference kind of suffered a little bit because of that. I liked it. It was not as good as the one in 2020. And I had my first post-vaccine party where we actually gathered in someone's house in a large-ish setting. I think there was 7 or 8 people. That was a momentous occasion, it felt like, in May. Also kind of like a turning point. I remember having a lot of relief from getting vaccinated that I didn't really know was causing me stress. June, got on a plane for the first time since the pandemic started. Went to San Francisco, hung out with some friends, and then Portland to visit family. Sat at shareholder Pat's desk when I snuck into his office. Started going to chess club in the park after playing a lot of chess online, and went to a Dodgers game, which is a very weird experience. A lot of people with masks, but still a massive, massive gathering. July is when I really started working on my TED Talk, and it was daunting. We'll get into that later. Also went to the Irwindale Speedway for the Night of Destruction, and watched this truck annihilate a trailer with a jet flame and a lot of other crazy things. It was super fun, and also kind of this feeling of getting back to normal and doing normal things again. And then also in July, I started kind of upping my engagement with Snacker News and experimenting with that, playing around with different podcasts and frequent posting. August, started the Shareholder Roadshow. Right beforehand, we had an in-person poker game. That was really fun. I was on Lillian's live stream, which actually is coming up today at 5. But we talked all about my personal finances, which was interesting and fun. I think I don't have the link for that, but you can look it up. If you look in the chat, if you scroll up through the chat, there's a link to her upcoming live stream, and all of her old episodes are on YouTube. And then Catherine and I did our drive across country, which was just great and super fun. And we had our bikes on the back of the car, so we would just stop and do these bike rides in insane places all around the country. So many cities have this amazing bike infrastructure, and so I just plotted out and kind of looked for those along the way. And we drove from LA up through Denver and then into Michigan, crossed over into Canada, and went to visit Catherine's parents. So August, September, a lot of time in Canada, the Niagara region on the Canadian side. We rented kayaks and kayaked the Niagara River below the falls, so not in a dangerous way. Continued the shareholder roadshow. We went to Toronto, met Austin in, I can't remember now, not Guelph. That was somewhere else, just south of there. Kitchener, I think it was, yeah. And then, yeah, we just biked around a ton more. We drove down to Florida, stopping in different cities along the way. Really enjoyed Pittsburgh, and met shareholders on almost every stop of that route down to down to Florida, and then spent time with my parents. And I dug into a bunch of old family photos, which was super fun. That was September. October was TEDx Vienna, which was daunting and nerve-wracking and super fun. Met some amazing people. I went to the airport and the airport was empty and there was plenty of first class upgrades. And I thought, I have this massive, massive flight. If ever there's a time to do a first class upgrade, this is it. So I didn't have time to put up a vote, but I went on Slack and basically asked if I could sell shares in kind of a quick sell off in order to cover the cost of the upgrade. And everyone was very much for it. So I sold shares on the market. People immediately snapped them all up, covered the cost, upgraded to first class, documented the whole thing on Instagram for everybody. And or maybe I did it in Slack. I can't remember now. It was in October, but that was super fun. And then was in Vienna. I was there for, I spent a week there. So I got there, did the TEDx event, met some amazing people, and then just wandered around that city on foot for days and days at a time. Came back and my bicycle was in need of great repair, and I ended up just getting a new one. To be fair, Catherine bought me a new bicycle, which is great. November, there was a really fun Spectrum One news piece that came out. I think I shared the link to that. Georgie and I did a Veterans Day fundraiser, raised some money. I had a big focus on charity this year and kind of tracked my charity spending, which made me think about being a little bit more intentional with that. And that was a fun exercise in trying to just like care about where I was putting that money. I feel like historically I've been very reactionary based in my charity giving. And then went up to Lake Arrowhead for Thanksgiving. That was all of November. December, I got a job, which is incredible and exciting. I'm the community and creator evangelist at Roll, and it's basically just working with creators and thinking about community all day. It's very much based on the work that I've done being a publicly traded person, having a shareholder community, and kind of trying to help people figure out the best way to do that stuff. Also in December, started meeting with Marcus again, really thinking about how we might do this podcast idea. And obviously it is continually evolved in the way of any project that I have. Also, I think when you combine Marcus and I, any project is going to start getting pretty, complicated, is unnecessarily complicated. So I'll announce that at some point. And then I stayed back in LA for Christmas. This is me house sitting, and it was kind of great not to travel, not to do anything. That's it. And then right at the end of December, as the numbers started climbing again, I was pretty sad about that. And so have spent the end of December kind of back on kind of personally imposed lockdown. Okay, let's get into some stats. This is the current price is $5.77. I believe that's still true because I made this slide yesterday. And this is the stock chart through the last year. So we started just below or right at 5. And for those that have been paying attention, we've been hovering at that $5 range for such a long time. So it was pretty exciting to watch that kind of shift happen over the course of the year from that $4 or $5 range to the $5 or $6 range. The annual low was $4.35, with the high being $6.73, which that's ignoring two moments, once when it dropped down to 5 cents and once when it hit a high of 12, both of which I think are actually mistakes that people made when trying to book trades. So I'm not counting those as the high and the low, but they are noted there. And then shareholders. So gained about 10% throughout the year. And that graph at the bottom shows the dark green is number of shareholders and the light green is the number of shareholders or the number of accounts. So the number of accounts has gone up way more than the number of shareholders, which means people are making accounts but not buying shares. So that's something probably to work on. And then this graph over here is the current breakdown of everyone who's entered their gender preferences. So 49% male, 35% have left it blank. Now, this is only those that bothered to enter anything at all. So the blank, I think, is maybe people that have entered, maybe they entered their cursor there or they deleted something, but basically have intentionally marked it blank. 14% female, and then I think there's like 2 or 3 people, so 1% rather not say. Couple people non-binary, and 1 person koala, because it is a field that you can enter whatever you want. So that is based on the efforts to achieve some gender parity in having shareholders, which was a vote that passed a couple years ago. All right, the Shareholder Roadshow. These are all of the shareholders that I met, starting with Mike and Susan Ritchie up at the top, and then went to Denver, Grand Rapids, Canada. Met some people. There's Nick, Dave. I don't need to go through them all. Towards the end, there's a bunch of people in Vienna, some recently converted, as well as some pre-existing shareholders. And man, I love driving across the country. It was so fun, and I definitely want to do it again. I have this fantasy of buying one of those Japanese vans, like a Delica, and driving it around the country, but we'll see. All right, stats, books. Last year I read 62 books. So this year I thought, why not up my goal and put it at 65? And I did throw in some real short ones at the end, but I did manage to read 52 books this year. The best book I read was The Body Keeps the Score, which I highly recommend. It's basically how the brain works. And the worst book was when we attempted the second book for the K5m Shareholder Book Club, Reimagining Capitalism in a World on Fire. We quit it. It was so bad. I think we got into like barely the second chapter. I actually destroyed my copy and threw it in the trash. I hated that book. It's garbage. So I don't know. Maybe that doesn't count because I didn't actually read it, but it was rough. These 2 images here, I mostly just wanted to highlight something I've been doing and actually paying for is using this service called Readwise, where I can highlight passages in books or enter them manually. And then each day I go through like 10 of those highlighted quotes. And that's been a fun way to kind of keep up with not just the books of this year, but everything that I've read and whatever stuck out at me. You can add tags and things like that. So these are 2 quotes that always make me happy when they come up in Readwise. Biking. Had 138 rides, only 3,089 miles, which feels low, but I think that's because there was so much riding in August and September, and then not very much at the beginning or end of the year. So I set a goal this year to do 5,000 miles. We'll see how that goes. I just did 40 today right before this, which is why I'm wearing a hat and a sweaty t-shirt. I was nervous about getting back on time. Got a new bike. Still have my old bike. Not sure what to do with it. Kind of want to like put some bigger tires on it and make it a little bit more of a kind of cruising around. Not quite like trail bike, but just a little more than just a road bike. We'll see. The shareholder conference and the charity poker game. Thanks so much to everyone who participated, including my new boss, Bradley Miles. And also I am very much looking forward to doing this again this year and doing the charity poker game. A big part of that was just the most fun. I actually went back and started watching the live stream that we did of the charity poker game, and it's still fun to watch. Being able to see the hold cards of the players was great. So look forward to that in mid-May sometime. TED Talk. I don't know that I've ever been as nervous on a stage. There's something so intimidating about that red circle that you're standing on. When I first got in, first thing I did was like walk to the venue, the Volkstheater in Vienna, and saw the big banner up at the top. It was intimidating from the outside when we got in, and it's this amazing, beautiful theater. It's intimidating on the inside. I did not have a great tech rehearsal because they didn't have the little confidence monitors working when I ran through it. So that was hard. And I ended up recording myself doing the talk and then just listening to it on headphones, walking around for like the 2 days before the conference. I did not have it fully memorized. I'm very nervous about it coming out. It should be out literally any day. I'd be shocked if it didn't come out next week. The TEDx official YouTube is putting all of these out, and then the TEDx Vienna channel is grabbing the ones from their event and putting a little collection together there. A bunch of them are out. Mine's not. It's just kind of a wait and see. So nervous. So nervous to see it. I feel like it was in kind of a fugue state going through that event. I have no idea how it went. It was such a huge rush of relief when I walked off stage, and then I was like, "What just happened?" That was really fun. And now it's over. It's been a while. Oh yeah, this is from shots from flying first class for the first time. Wish I would have done it sooner because I didn't have that much time in the lounge, which is the first two pictures, where I went and got some dessert and a glass of champagne and some potato chips. So I just destroyed that. And then, I mean, really, it was the best. I can't describe how great it was to have non-plastic cutlery and dishware. The food was good. They kept pushing wine. I kept trying to get coffee, and they kept being like recommending different wines. It was great. Lufthansa on the way over, and I don't know. The downside is you're spoiled forever. It's too good. Vienna. I had a week there. Originally, Catherine was going to come, and then it ended up that like her work and her trip to hang out with her family in San Diego overlapped exactly. So I ended up still going for a week by myself, and then did laundry in my bathroom sink, which is a tip I learned from Josh. Bought this like cord that you string up in the bathroom, and then these little bags of soap. Yeah, this is a weird little scooter coffee espresso cart that parked in the park outside the hotel that I would go to in the morning. And it was just, I loved it. It was the best. Highly recommend it. And I have a bunch of shareholders there now, which is great. Then I went home. Well, not home. I went to my parents' home where I'd never been before, their new house in Florida, and started diving into my parents' collection of old photos, finding so many of me and things that I don't even really remember. My dad and I took diving lessons and in Alaska, and then went on a dive when I was in high school, freshman, junior, maybe junior high. I don't know. So that's, and then we went to Florida or Hawaii and went on a dive together. Apparently I caught a giant fish, or maybe the fish isn't that big, but I am small. And this other picture is when my dad brought a baby moose home for a while because he was fishing wildlife and had to. Gene and I in the kitchen, the bad boys of cooking. And then, another part of my history I've mostly blacked out and don't remember is me in basic training, reading probably, they didn't let us read anything except the Bible when we first, so that must be AIT, not basic training. Yeah, it's rough. Okay, that's the year. So now make it happen in 2022. Questions. I will look at the chat and see if anybody has any questions. There's also a link in the Slack if anyone wants to join in and ask a question in person or have a conversation about something in person. Questions. Waiting for any questions. Here, let me ask in the chat again about any questions. Any questions? Oh, here we go. How are you going to get more people who have signed up but not bought shares to actually buy? That's a great question. I could probably target those people a little bit. I'm sure that we could pull a list of who those people are, and I could sort of email them separately and encourage them to buy shares. I like that idea. Hang on. I got to write that down. Oh, what is AIT? AIT is Advanced Individual Training. So after you do your basic training in the Army, then you go to AIT. Everything's an acronym. You go to AIT to learn your MOS, which is Military Occupational Specialty. So for me, that was 95 Bravo Military Police, which doesn't exist anymore. They renamed it something else. And my basic and AIT were actually this all together. So we went, it was pretty seamless. We went from one to the other, but like permissions kind of opened up after basic training. We could go to the PX or get like a pass for a couple hours to go to town, which is like a small town in Anniston, Alabama. There was nothing to do. Yeah. Any other questions as I refresh this? I'm going to write that one idea down about targeting to message people that have not non-shareholders. Target share price for end of year 2022. Let's see. There's 100,000 shares in existence. It's difficult to believe that your existence would sit at about 577K. It's true. The number of shares is strange. So when I started K5m, I was working at Panic, a software company, and I kind of considered it to be my night and weekend time. And I didn't know where to start the price. I didn't know how to start a market. There wasn't enough demand for an IPO. So initially I just said, well, I can definitely defend the idea that from now until I die is worth $100,000. So I'll say there's 100,000 shares at $1 a piece. It was an arbitrary number. But yeah, it does put a market cap of right now $577,000. $577. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's interesting. The other thing is I still hold a lot of those shares. So there's also the matter of getting my shares out into the hands of all of the shareholders. So it's kind of a two-pronged problem. Target share price for end of the year. I think I would be happy if it moved up in the way that it moved from that $4 to $5 range and to the 5 to 6. If we got up to, if that number increased plus or minus, but was from 6 to 7, I think that's great. I kind of like the slow and steady increase. I also think that there's a reason that the price was at $5 for so long. I think as a single share purchase, which is most of the shareholders, there's a few shareholders that have a lot of shares, and it's like a pretty long tail that goes down, and a lot of people just have one share. I think that $5 price point is about right for people coming in. And so maybe it's something where as the price starts to get higher, maybe we have to do a stock split. I don't know. Probably don't need to do that until all the shares are out in the hands of shareholders. But yeah, let's target 750 by the end of the year. That seems like a good target. I know for a while we were in that $6 to $7 range, and we lost a little bit of price when somebody just dumped their share. So even that 577, I feel like, is a little low. I think we're going to bounce back into that mid 6 range in not too long. I think there's potential for the TED Talk to up that number as well. That would be interesting. Could bring a lot of people in, and we'll see. But yeah, let's target 750. It's a good number. Let's see. Anything else? Just looking at the chat again. Oh, the stream keeps freezing. That's weird. I have a fiber line into the house, and that blue cord behind me, if I remove this, that's a direct, right there. That's the direct Ethernet line into my machine. All right, other people are saying it's not freezing. It might be on your end. I'm sorry to say. User 24. It might be bad internet on your end. Upgraded to fiber. Was that this year? No, I guess that was the year before. Man, it's great. Catherine was not thrilled about me running this cord all the way through the house because I'm in the second bedroom, and the cord runs out the hall over across the kitchen area and then diagonally through her office, which is in the dining room, which is an office with closed doors. Oh, it keeps losing the audio. I wonder if everyone else can chime in about the audio. I didn't do any tests, but it did seem like everything was working. Yeah, all right. Any questions? Anything about next year? User 21 says, "Yo, Mikey," but I don't know who you are because you can customize your name up at the top, and then I can know who you are. But otherwise, you're just a user number. This year's going to be interesting. I don't know. Travel plans. Oh, hey, Brian. Travel plans this year. Literally right now, none. Catherine and I had this very loose plan to return to Canada in the summer, maybe late summer again. And last year we stayed with her parents, and we kind of wanted to see what it was like to stay there in our own place. So we were thinking about like renting a place for like 2 months and staying there, maybe subletting our place out here in LA. But man, just right now with Omicron and everything else, we've basically just been hanging out and waiting and not doing anything. I'm not going to the gym right now. I'm not going anywhere. I have like a couple friends. We both have like a couple friends we're willing to see. We're not quite on as extreme lockdown as we were at the very beginning of the pandemic, but we're kind of waiting until things calm down before making any plans. I would love to travel for work as a creator and community evangelist. I know there's a ton of events and conferences and things in the Web3 space, so I'm excited to do that. We're a totally distributed company with no offices, so excited to be able to move around a bit. So yeah, I can be anywhere, anywhere with internet I can work from, which is fun. Have sports allegiances been voted on? Any interest in it? LA Dodgers hat on my head. My LA Dodgers hat I feel like is more place based than fandom, but I did find, especially last year, I watched a handful of baseball games and I found it soothing and calming and peaceful in a very old man way. So yeah, the one voted on sports allegiance I have is I am a fan of the WNBA, and I'm excited to go to some games in the future. User 24. That's my dad. Oh yeah, that's a good question. So your site and resources seem to be catering to existing shareholders. Would you be interested in focusing more on the first-time buyer experience? That's a great point. I think that, yeah, that is a great question. Onboarding a new person into K5m is not the easiest. It's not as complicated as crypto, but it's definitely not easy. So yeah, I think the onboarding could be easier. We have some ideas for that. We did. Oh, there's something I actually meant to put in here and didn't. Was we did have what I was calling. This was during the Thanksgiving break. We had K5m Development Week, which Aaron and I talked through a number of features, and Aaron got into a bunch of them. A big part of that was the changes that we've made to voting, which you'll notice there used to be this separate site called Ouija, and we've now incorporated that and brought those together. So voting is pretty. I like the way voting works a lot better now. We also have I can do multiple choice, and you can vote on multiple ideas. You can vote multiple options. You don't just have to vote for one thing. I mean, a K5m Setup Wizard is a great idea. A little like animated briefcase, kind of like the paperclip or something. Could pop up. I do have a bit of a user guide. If you go to news.k5m.com and scroll all the way to the bottom, there is a guide of kind of a how-to. And I should probably update that because it's probably a little bit out of date. But there is a little bit of a, hey, here's how this works, and here's what you should do and how it could work. I also started messing around with this product Loom, Loom, where I could also make some videos explaining how to do things, how to log in, how to buy shares, how to sell shares, how everything works. So if not a setup wizard, I will make a note for some easier onboarding. And I'll even put in quotes setup wizard because I like that idea. Oh, and I did set up there's an email when people first sign up, there's an automated email that goes out that kind of guides people through the whole process as well. I don't know how many people look at that when they sign up, but it is kind of an intro, kind of an email equivalent of the setup wizard. I should probably just make that a video though. I'm excited to see you dive into more crypto stuff in upcoming years. The frequency that I tell crypto people I meet that K5m did it first is high. Yeah, that's literally how I got the job that I have now. Is Bradley, who's the CEO of Roll, was every person that he talked to, everyone mentioned K5m. They're like, "Do you know this guy? Do you know this guy?" And he reached out. We've been chatting for a while before the job happened. Just talking about how Roll works versus how K5m works. So yeah, I've been diving pretty hard into crypto since the last week of December, and it's definitely flooding my brain a bit. I think, yeah, it's I definitely want to try some experiments with it that are maybe not exactly K5m, because I think we have a system that is an experiment and a community and a thing that works, and I don't think right now there's any reason to switch it over. I do have some shareholders that are pushing for a switch to crypto. That might be a vote that comes up, but I think before that, there's probably, I mean, man, if you think onboarding onto K5m is hard, whew, crypto, just explaining it is hard, much less getting anyone to use it. Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited about it. I like seeing what people are doing with it. I like seeing artists use it. I like the weird use cases. There's some interesting stuff going on. All right, any last minute questions? We could wrap up. Waiting for just to see if anybody else has anything. There's a tiny bit of a delay, so when I say something, I have to wait for just a minute to see if there's a response. But I think that's it. I think we're going to wrap up. So there's 3 more live streams happening. There's going to be one. I want to do one and just talk about everything that I've been learning in Web3 crypto land and dive into that, pros and cons and all of it. Going to do one with Catherine. We're going to do our podcast 3-minute review. We're just going to do a live version. There's a vote up right now. You can vote on what products we'll be live reviewing. They're all non-alcoholic beverages because we've been doing dry January. And the last one is I want to see if we can do a live game. Well, so there's currently Chess Lab. If you go to the voting section where we're playing, it's all of the shareholders are playing a game of chess. So the number of moves listed, and you can vote on which move. Anyone can go in there and vote right now. And what I'd like to do is arrange with the person that we're playing to do it in real time for a little while. And there's some setup I would have to do to figure that out. But that's the 4th one. So those are the upcoming live streams for the month. This is 1 of 4 for my challenge. I like doing this. I like that there's 10 people out there watching. Thanks, everybody. I like it when these things are small. And yeah, send any thoughts, notes, ideas. Open to all of it. I think that's it. I'm going to put the slide back up. Oh, what's this mode? Oh, I didn't know I could do this. Tiny me in the corner. I like that. Oh, selfish wreck from Brian. Read through our recent posts on otherinter.net and reach out. Oh, I definitely want to talk crypto. Anyone who's in or around or enthusiastic about crypto should drop me an email, k5m@k5m.com, and let's just have a conversation about what you're doing, what you're seeing, what you like, what seems stupid. There's a couple of podcasts I started listening to, and some of them are wildly technical, and others are wholly financial. And I'm kind of interested in people doing products and making things. So, yeah, anybody reach out. I'll talk about it all day long.